Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So, John McCain recently came down with brain cancer. Now, in coming down with brain cancer, recently he had surgery, and I guess his family is deciding whether or not they're going to go through with chemotherapy, or radiation. Caitlin Johnstone wrote an article entitled, "Please Just Fucking Die Already." This article is absolutely hilarious. It's snarky as all hell. But at the end of it, if you're being honest, the thing that lingers in the air is she right? Does she have a point? I want to say yes, she does have a point. A study by the Journal of Patient Safety says somewhere between 2,100 and 4,400 patients die every year as a result of medical errors. If there was a God, murderous, warmongering, neocon, John McCain would have been one of them. If you're waiting for the part where I say I'm kidding and would never wish death on anybody, please allow me to make myself clear. I sincerely, genuinely hope that Arizona Senator John McCain's heart stopped beating and that he is subsequently declared dead by qualified medical professionals very soon. I don't wish him a painful death. I don't wish him a slow death. I don't wish him an unnatural or violent death. I only wish that he becomes incapable of facilitating the merciless slaughter of any more human beings. This evil man has supported every U.S. military bloodbath in his obscenely long life, and has been actively involved in promoting and manufacturing support for every single despicable act of military intervention throughout his entire career. Now, there's an article by Mother Jones that she notes, named all the countries John McCain has wanted to attack. And she's making a point that this describes how John McCain sincerely pushed for military escalations in country not even the insatiable U.S. war machine has gone for. Meaning there were countries that John McCain wanted to bomb, attack, or in some way get the United States involved in some kind of military conflict in places that the military was like, yeah, man, no, that's okay. Too far. Too far. I did an article the other day, or I did a video the other day. I think it was a group of Republicans were shot in, I think they were having practice in the ball field. And it kind of made this point that these people can't necessarily complain about being shot when people are using their Second Amendment rights. The things that these guys were voting for were essentially the same thing that they wanted visited, or what happened to them was the same thing that they've been voting to visit all across the United States. If you're going to push policy to weaken gun laws, to make it easier to get guns, to make it where anybody or more places to use guns, to get rid of this idea of background checks, if you're going to prevent legislation from going in and make this country a little bit safer, then can it really be upset that the things that you were advocating for were visited upon you, particularly since you were trying to visit those things all across the United States? She's making the same point here. This guy has been involved in trying to get the United States into one military conflict after the next. Is that military conflict going to be advantageous to other people abroad? Of course, the answer is no. Certainly, if you're going to be that hopped up for war, then you're completely unempathetic to what takes place in regards to on the ground, or the people who are on the ground of those bombs. You're going to be murdering people. You're going to be murdering a lot of civilians. And in many of these cases, these are wars of choice, meaning John McCain wanted to go into places where the United States has a complete choice in whether to go into. I would argue that many of these wars that we get involved in are just wars of choice, but I'm saying that he wanted to go further than what the United States military wanted to go. That's a mind-blowing thing. That's a mind-blowing thing. And so now we have this weird cultural thing that people are supposed to say nice things about somebody because something bad befell them. But understand what I'm saying. If John McCain was openly, perfectly okay with murdering people abroad, whether it was ego or whether it was he just believed that for whatever reason the United States has a God-given right of toppling one democracy after the next or dropping our weapons to murder other people around the globe, am I really going to be that upset that John McCain has brain cancer? No. Has John McCain somehow changed from the person that he was before he had brain cancer to the fact that he is now that he has brain cancer? The answer to that, of course, is no. He's still the same John McCain. He still was the person who was advocating for murdering people across the globe. My heart does not weep for John McCain. My heart weeps for the people who he was trying to murder. And we have this horrible precedent in this country where it's as if just because these guys wear a suit and just because you see them on television, that they are somehow separate and distinct from the actions that they're taking. Like, it's as if, well, that's John McCain. I know John McCain. He's just the guy who has a family and everything else. That's true. But John McCain is also a congressman. And John McCain is making decisions. He's making votes. He's getting on the air and pushing particular agendas that will kill people around the globe. Let's stop pretending that what these guys say is somehow completely detached from what takes place around the globe. If you're doing things and you're advocating the murder of civilians and civilians are getting killed, then yes, you're advocating the killing of those people. To some degree was responsible for those people being killed. They're acting like these things are completely untethered to one another. Yes, if John McCain is advocating killing people, I'm not upset that John McCain may be on his way out. That's the truth of the matter. And there's this weird, ridiculous quality to mainstream news. Many of these articles were kind of taking shots at her. But understand the ridiculousness of what they're taking shots at. Any honest appraisal of what she's saying, yeah, she's being true. The only thing that you can take a shot at her at is, oh, this comes across a little too snarky. Or, oh, that sounds a little too blunt. That's subjective. The reality of what she's saying, though, evaluate the reality of what she's saying. Hey, this idea that Obama killed all these civilians, yeah, not a big deal. Us murdering 1 million people in Iraq, us destroying Libya, not a big deal. All of these wars of conquest and intervention, does the United States president have the right to topple any particular country that particular president wants to? And if so, where did he get that right? It wasn't from the consent of the governed. The president himself took it upon himself. Nah, we don't need to talk about that either. You know what we want to talk about? We want to talk about the fact that Johnstone bought it up. That's what we want to talk about. We don't want to talk about the substance of it. We don't talk about whether these policies are legal or illegal, whether or not the president has that justification to do so, even when Congress doesn't give him the justification to do so. Off the table. Off the table. We're in all of these other countries bombing one country after the next. Obama killed thousands of civilians. Trump is going to catch him. But that's not the problem. That's not the problem. You know what the problem is? Caity Johnstone. Caity Johnstone. We don't want her bringing this up. She should bring it up. She should bring it up. And beyond bringing it up, she's perfectly right. She's perfectly correct. If John McCain wasn't there, then you wouldn't necessarily have that factor in Congress pushing as vociferously as he's pushing for war. And even if you want to make the argument that somebody would have been right there behind him doing the exact same thing, then at the very least you can't complain that he's come down with a brain cancer. Because ultimately he was trying to do that. Not brain cancer, but sudden death to other people. John McCain will be all right. John McCain has lived 80 years or something like that, and he's going to have amazing health care. John McCain will be all right. He's paid handsomely well by the people who keep him in that office. I care more so for the people that he himself was willing to kill. That's what I care about. I don't care about John McCain. This is like now people are going to say nice things about him as if you're at a funeral. My grandfather was an angry, evil alcoholic. He was the worst person I've ever come across in my life, hands down. Now, despite that, everybody in that funeral home knew he was an alcoholic. Everybody in that funeral home knew he was an asshole. And yet, one person after the next would get up and say nice things about him. It's amazing to me. It's amazing. I don't quite get it. And now they're going to pretend that John McCain, just because John McCain has a brain tumor or brain cancer, that John McCain is somehow a different person. He's a cuddlier John McCain. John McCain is going to eat his steak, eat his Cheerios, and he spent his entire career in Congress, not necessarily caring about the death and destruction he would send across the globe, mainly because John McCain was completely detached from those choices. Meaning, yes, it's easy for you to make a choice that's going to murder people when you can go home and eat your steak and eat your Cheerios that morning. So, yeah. If you're going to be that unempathetic in regards to how the rest of the world functions, then yeah, I'm going to be unempathetic in regards to you. So, no, John McCain hasn't changed. Yes, John McCain is still bloodthirsty warmonger that he was before he got the brain cancer. No, this article by Caity Johnstone, I would argue, should be regarded in that sense. And that's not a no, that's more of a I agree with Caitlin Johnstone on this. And yes, the mainstream media is absolutely ridiculous that they would bring up this article in the sense of, look at what she said versus let's talk about what she said. The latter gives context. The former is this kind of cultural weirdness that doesn't really mean anything. Engage your point. Engage your point. I like her style. I haven't read much of her stuff, to be honest. The way she wrote this, there's a very particular punchy, snarky style that's somewhat comical to me that I found myself liking as I read this. So I'm gonna leave it at that. People were giving her shit about it, and I just kept thinking to myself, you guys are giving her shit about something. Is what she's saying true? Engage your point. Engage your point. There is an actual reality to these things. It's not like these guys are in a box somewhere, they hit a button and then nothing happens and John McCain just goes home. No. When they're taking votes, when he's out there advertising for something, when he's trying to push public opinion, and what he's trying to push public opinion for is not something to the betterment of the United States. It's not something to the betterment of the world or to the globe. It's to murder people. It's to put people in dire straits and difficult situations. That's what John McCain has advocated for his entire life. So yes, Caitlin Johnstone is right. All right, guys. If you enjoy the content, feel free to share, like, subscribe, but you can always support the work through Patreon. Thank you.